In the name of Almighty Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. As Muhammad, peace be upon him, narrated, if anyone travels on a road in search of knowledge, Almighty Allah will cause him to travel on one of the roads of paradise. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Tariq Masood. Thank you very much for watching my videos and your wonderful support to make this channel a grand success. We are a partner and family. Please subscribe and share our channel if you haven't done so far. We as a team can work together to convert challenges into opportunities and opportunities into success stories. And these success stories can be monetized into value addition in the world by large. Thank you very much for your precious time. Today, we are going to discuss my lecture number 9, Challenge for Organization Model. Okay, before my lecture, I used to read a Quranic verse. Qala Rabbi Shrahli Sadri Wayassarli Amri Wahlalu Uqdatam min lisani Yafqahu Qawli Allahumma Rabbi Zidni Ilma. O my Lord, open my chest and ease my task for me, and loose a knot from my tongue, that they may understand my saying. Allahumma Rabbi Zidni Ilma, O Allah, advance me in my knowledge and true understanding. Okay, before my lecture number 9, I will give a complete a trail what we have discussed from lecture number 1 to 8. Then we will run a complete a trail on my lecture number 9. Okay, now we are going to discuss lecture number 9 today. So this is my lecture number 9. So before my lecture number 9, we will give key takeaway points what we have discussed so far from lecture number 1 to 8. Okay, lecture number 1, we have discussed what is the change, cost of uncontrolled change, how it becomes intolerable. Lecture number 2, we have discussed trying to control the events, importance of knowledge, knowledge sharing. Lecture number 3, we have discussed strategic analysis of organization, leading change and transition period. Number 4, we have discussed globalization, post-industrializations, distressing collective and organization. Number 5, we have discussed let's set the scene, confront historical process, history of the presence, and internal mutations within each society. And then we have discussed lost confidence, confidence problems, understanding the situations, agreement of the basic observation. Then we have discussed primary day-to-day manners, cooperations, traditional structures, what is the polarizations, optimistic side, understandables, nevertheless key facts, debates, surroundings, the arguments are sounds, matter of concern, difference in this debate. Okay, now we are going to give our key takeaway points, lecture number 9 on my next slide. Okay, key takeaway points, lecture number 9, American model. First, we will discuss a dual characteristic. Number 2, we'll discuss naturally, we might say. Number 3, inequalities. Number 4, neither celebration nor sorrow. Number 5, opposition to change. Okay, on my next slide, first we will discuss dual characteristic. Okay, American model. What is American model basically? First, a dual characteristic, then violent, affect, and undermining. What it basically demonstrates this model. Okay, the United States has the dual characteristic of undergoing a violent upsets which seems to affect the country's economic health, although without seriously undermining it, while at the same time being the country from which everything starts, the country that in a way announced to the rest of the world that what its future is going to be. In the long term, this seems to show two possible pathways for anticipating the last days of the bureaucracies. Okay, on my next slide, we'll discuss naturally, we might say. In my earlier slide, we have discussed dual characteristics. Now we are going to discuss naturally, we might say. What basically naturally we might say? First, the precarious nature. Number two, labor's market. Number three, decrease in salary level. Number four, part-time jobs. Okay. And what basically it demonstrates, the first naturally we might say is that of the increasingly precarious nature of the labor market, of salaried employment itself, and of the decrease in salary levels. In 1993, alone, out of 1.23 million jobs created in the United States, whereas 728,000 were part-time jobs, really little more than the side jobs, accepted by those who were in fact seeking full-time employment. Okay. On my next slide, I'm going to discuss what Robert Rich mentioned about the inequalities. Okay, American model. Now, slide number three, what we're going to discuss, what Robert Rich mentions. Okay, the Robert Rich mentioned about the inequalities. He mentioned that the inequalities in revenue increased in America from 1977 to 1990, when average income before taxes of 20% of the poorest American decreased by 5%. Okay, then what is linked basically here? So the 20% rich American income increased by 9%. Then the Rafkin adds that between 1977 and 1993, working class American lost on average 14% of their purchase power. Okay, both we are agree that one of the conditions which made these changes possible was the deep, long-term, and unprecedented weakening of the union movement. Okay, on my next slide, we will discuss figures are cause for neither celebration nor sorrow. Okay, in my earlier slide, we have discussed robotic approach for inequalities. Now we are going to discuss neither celebration nor sorrow. What basically neither celebration nor sorrow? The first, the change. Second, success stories. And number three, renegotiations of advantages. The figures are cause for neither celebration nor sorrow. It is simply a sign that today, when we see the world a change, and when opposite this world we are presented with examples, the success stories, they are best understood in terms of less, for they have been achieved at the cost of the negotiations of advantages, of security, and of comfort. The bureaucracies, whether of the public or private sector, are characterized by the advantages which they have obtained for their members. The pluses, when if the customers has had to pay the price of these pluses not only in terms of basic cost of given service, but also in day-to-day terms of business schedules, of the speed of delivery, of the quality of the product or services, or to make it short in terms of convenience. Okay, on my next slide, we will further discuss the result of all this is that opposition to change. So, how we can convert into as this is the psychological problems. Okay, American model. Okay, opposition to change. What basically it's psychological problem, rational strategy, then in the sense that the actor who developed a strategy struggle to hold on to something, and then organization. What basically it is mentioned, even if what they are trying to hold on to comes with a price due others in the associations or the customers, as mentioned earlier in my slide, one cannot naively explain to these actors that their future will be more fair and above all better, if only because in the short run at least this is not true. Clearly, the more that organization comes up with a different kinds of benefit for their members, the more difficult and costly it is in human terms to give up these benefits. This will lead to some methods for managing change which take this into account. Thank you very much for your precious time. On the next slide, we will conclude today's lecture. Okay, what we discussed today, dual characteristic. We have also discussed, naturally, we might say, inequalities, and neither celebration nor sorrow, a last opposition to change. Okay, on my next topic, we are going to discuss American model part 2. Thank you very much for your precious time. Okay, references. These are material which you can read and learn more about the challenge for organization, customer victory, bureaucracy, Requiem for bureaucracy, change, yes, but why? Thank you very much for your precious time. Thank you very much for your precious time. Together, everyone achieve more. Please do not hesitate. Send me your feedback and comments at t.masood.dr@path.edu. Please stay at home, safe, inspired, and blessed. Thank you very much again.